I think anybody would enjoy this because of the history.
I love the May West, every day's a holiday. I thought that fit on the old raisin board that they used to do a lot of raisin wine here. The first minute it runs.
Ooh.
But I come up here sometimes with a glass of wine and sit up here. But,
and have the little star show.
This is the room that the bank robbers stayed in. Now these were 3 separate rooms, but they wanted this one because they could watch
see
everything.
everybody.
This has the best views. And,
Nice back chair. This is beautiful. Little kitchen. You've done a great job with the space that you had.
Yeah, they're hard to work with.
I see that.
Spaces.
Yeah. So this is Hotel Cottonwood, and it's always been called Hotel Cottonwood, right?
When it was first built, the wooden building, it was called the OK Hotel. And the guy that bought it in 1917 changed the name to the Cottonwood Hotel. So it's been the Cottonwood Hotel since 1917.
And did you buy it from him?
Oh, no.
Well, I don't know.
No, he actually got rid of it in 1922, and then the people that had it in 1922, they died in 1933, and then it kind of went to their kids, and it was in that family till 1980. And since 1980, there were 2 owners prior to me.
Oh, wow.
Where the empty lot is here, that's where the bootlegging still blew up in 1925.
So it was completely right downtown.
And all these buildings were wood buildings, all partied walled, wooden boardwalks, and we had 45-mile-an-hour winds.
Whoa.
So it didn't take much to wipe out everything, pretty much down to where the inn sign is there.
Yeah.
10 homes and huge warehouses. Now, one of the warehouses was Joe Hall's, the Arizona Bootlegger King. And he had all the drilling equipment for drilling out mines. That's how he was digging out all the bootlegging tunnels here.
Oh my God.
And on top of that, he was the fire chief. So he saved his little house back here, and when we go for a little walk, I'll show you.
So I was going to ask, they did this obviously with the law enforcement compliance.
The agents turned a blind eye to Cottonwood, and on off-duty time, they would actually come here in disguise sometimes and pick up booze. George Ruffner, who was the sheriff out of Prescott, which at that time was their capital, he was sent here a lot by the agents. And it was funny because a couple times, instead of bringing his touring car, he would hop on his horse and wagon and bring the wagon into town. And when he was 20 miles outside of town, he'd start clanging his cowbell so the ranchers would hear him, and the ranchers would come riding into town and tell everybody, hide the booze, George Ruffner's coming to town, so that everybody would hide everything.
That's hysterical.
Warehouses, and let me put the lights on. John Wayne soaked his tush in this tub.
So when did the still explode? And
it was April 20th, 1925.
Oh wow!
About 4 o'clock in the morning.
And the whole town blew up.
And well, when we go to the balcony, I'll tell you a little bit more. But anyways, so Mae West, she stayed here in the old building, and then she came back in the early 30s, possibly in the late 20s, in this new building. And I was asking, in doing a lot of research, why did she come to Cottonwood? And of course, she, she never drank, and she didn't smoke, and she was always portraying doing those things.
But she
all
didn't.
My research. No, she didn't. She said it only would put wrinkles, and that's one of the reasons why. But anyways, she was a character, and even though she didn't drink or smoke, she loved the bad boys.
George Raft.
George Raft. He was the one that got her to Hollywood. He might have stayed here with her. They were doing grand premieres in Phoenix, and you know what? He was a bootlegger.
George Raft?
He changed his name just a little bit, spelling. He was born in Hell's Kitchen, and he got out of it and made Hollywood, and that's why all of his movies are all about gangsters and bootlegging. And so it's very possible during their premieres in Phoenix that they drove up here, because Cottonwood was known for its best bootlegging in the state of Arizona. And we had all the bootlegger kings. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I love this
So one of the old timers that told me one time when she came into town, and he watched her come upstairs, but they also saw her where the bootlegging still blew up, running her hands through a barrel of mash. Both saved during the 1925 fire because they were already built with this special fire block.
Oh, retardant.
And they made a special brick and block, and they said that if the town ever caught fire again, that they wanted to make sure that the whole town never burned. And so they were saved during that fire. The rest was all wood. So I had a clothing boutique in here.
So what did
with
he
a coffee
have?
shop in the middle.
What was his business when he had it?
He did different things. He called himself a furniture dealer, like Al Capone did on his license. But he was mostly, he had a pool hall, chili house, restaurant, boarding, that type of thing. But I had laid this floor, but it's over cement. And his daughters would come in. Maybe this is, there was a little section that was kind of, this is,
That's where
anyways, his daughters come in, and they told me that underneath here was a cellar. And someplace, there used to be a hatch.
So he was friends with Al Capone too, apparently.
I think that Al Capone come to see him. I wouldn't say friends, but you know how Al Capone kind of ruled everybody, and he even ran bootlegging and a lot of people from the South. And it's interesting because this guy that owned this property ended up in San Diego, and I haven't shared some of the story yet, but called 3 Mexican gals because it was their family. They used to live in this White House here, and they shared a lot of the history with me. They said it even went back, and there used to be a bottling company here, and then they had moved the bottling company. So we're going to go back.
So that was where they actually busted them, was in that billiard hall.
Raided on numerous occasions.
But they didn't get the tunnels that went with it.
She does have a space under there, but she's scared to death of it. And otherwise, they'd bolt them to a tree until they could come and get them. We're going to go inside.
Oh, I see jail trail. Yeah.
So it's just a 1/4 mile to the Verde River. And the Lime Kiln Trail in the Dead Horse Ranch State Park is a shorter route from Cottonwood to Sedona than driving. And that's where a lot of your traders would come, and then they would stay over here in the Cottonwoods, which is the Verde Valley or Verde River Greenway, riparian, all this.
So they do this horseback.
And well, your ranchers, because there was, if they couldn't do boarding or something, they'd bring their horses and their wagons, and they'd camp out.
Right.
And they would say, go camp in the Cottonwoods. That's how Cottonwood got its name. But even Schumann, who had the Oak Creek vineyard way back then, and he was busted and put in jail when he was in his 60s or 70s, I think it was early 70s, and then he finally got out of it. But they had all kinds of vineyards over there, but he used to take this Lime Kiln Trail with his wine. Game people normally did, but look